everybody. Happy Earth Day. Woohoo. This is your third choice for journal, although we could use this for so much more. But it's the story of Silent Spring is what I wanted to focus on. It's mentioned in the first video I linked, one of your journal choices for today. And if you see here, it's how a courageous woman took on the chemical industry and raised important questions about humankind's impact on nature. And we're talking about one of the first, like I put in journal, uh, huge influencers for even thinking of the environment as something we needed to be able to take care of in order to survive. Realizing it's kind of the first huge realization that humans are a large, gargantuan part of this worldwide ecosystem. So it's really interesting. I wanted to read you a little bit about Silent Spring and then an excerpt from Silent Spring that I found online. And you can read along with me. That's why I decided to do Screencastify for this. All right. Although how a courageous woman took on the chemical industry and raised important questions about humankind's impact on nature. Although they will probably always be less celebrated than wars, marches, riots, or stormy political campaigns, books have at times been the most powerful influencer of social change in American life. So, again, books have power, words have power, right? Reading gives you power. Thomas Paine's Common Sense, for instance, galvanized, and galvanized, like galvanized metal means stronger metal, or galvanized steel. Galvanized means stronger. So it galvanized radical sentiments. Like, in other words, it gave people backing for the American Revolution in the early days of the Revolution and people thinking about it. It was a huge text that had a huge impact on the American Revolution and getting people together. Uncle Tom's Cabin was a really influential book by Harriet Beecher Stowe, which roused the North's antipathy. Antipathy means, remember, anti is against, and then pathos we learned as a root when we talked about sympathy, telepathy. We had pathos as a root. Remember, pathos is feeling, or feeling. So antipathy is like no feeling about it. So it wasn't until Uncle Tom's Cabin reached the North that people in the North were willing to go to war to make sure slavery stopped in the South. And that was more than a decade, and that was within the decade that led up to the Civil War. And then now we have today's topic for Earth Day, Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, which in 1962, as you see here, exposed the hazards of the pesticide DDT, which I learned a lot about when I was in school, but I don't know that people have talked a lot about it to you guys. She also questioned humanity's faith in technological progress, like Einstein, like that Einstein quote we did for journal that day, where he said, "I'm afraid that our technology has gone beyond our humanity." And it helped set the stage for the environmental movement. And then this gives a little bit about Carson. That's what she looked like. She really was a scientist first before a writer. So it reminds me of how Mr. Goodfellow is currently working on his writing skills and how he writes and getting his narrative voice. And I just imagine if people didn't go outside of their interests and disciplines and share their amazing knowledge, what kind of world would it be? So I'm getting all teary-eyed. It's so weird. I do that in class, you guys. So of course I would do it in a Screencastify. Okay. So anyway, really cool stuff. She's scientist turned like author. Didn't really even realize, I think, at the time, like most people don't, the impact they're going to have. Okay, cool. You can tell I got the feels for Rachel Carson today. Okay, so it took her 4 years to complete this book, and it was her interest in writing about the dangers of DDT was rekindled. So she actually had studied it before when she received a letter from a friend in Massachusetts talking about how all of these birds were dying off of Cape Cod because of DDT spraying, like you can see here. And then it said, again, it took 4 years to complete. The book's most haunting and famous chapter, which I'm going to read you the excerpt from for Journal today, A Fable for Tomorrow, depicted a nameless American town where all life had been silenced, therefore, a silent spring, get it, the title, by the Insidious, which Insidious, if you remember the movie Insidious, was a horror movie. Like Insidious, I think even is almost automatopoeic, like it almost sounds like what it is, like Insidious. It doesn't sound good. So yeah, it's not good. Insidious effects of DDT are bad, and it alarmed readers. And eventually, she can. There were even people, of course, that were like indignant, which means like, I can't believe, blah, blah, blah. Of course, the chemical industry and people making money off of DDT didn't much like it. So he was talking about even this guy who now we look at and are like, oh my God, what a jerk. He said, oh, if we listen to her, we're going to return to the dark ages. Here it is. And the insects and diseases and vermin. Yeah, so I'm going to find my little focus mouse. Sorry. He said, we return to the dark ages, the insects, diseases, and vermin once again inherit the earth. I should have been doing this the whole time. I'm sorry, guys. Y'all are so nice. I'm learning through all of this, and I run out of time so much these days. I even did before coronavirus. Y'all know that in my classroom. So I appreciate your patience with me in this stuff. But what's really cool is, how her stuff has still had a lasting impact. The most important legacy was a new public awareness that nature is vulnerable to human intervention. Okay. And that at times, technological process is also at odds with natural processes that we need to back up. And just because you can, I always love this quote. I had a science teacher that taught me this. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something, right? You can do a lot of things, doesn't mean it's a good idea. All right, we all know that. I've said that before to you guys. Okay, so here's the excerpt that I want you to respond to in Journal, or you can respond to any of this. And she was a John Hopkins grad early on, woman at John Hopkins, woman scientist nonetheless. Heck yeah. All right, so this is excerpt from Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, 1962, A Fable for Tomorrow. And I might give y'all this. Anyway, it's got a bunch of stuff with this PDF, which is kind of cool. So there was once a town. Let's get my little pointer that we decided. I don't know. He didn't like that. Oh, well, maybe he'll like it. Let's see. I'm going to try again. Focus mouse. No, it doesn't like it. Okay. We're going to give up on that part. Let's see. We're just going to stop that. All right. So there was once a town in the heart of America where all life seemed to live in harmony with its surroundings. The town lay in the midst of a checkerboard of prosperous farms with fields of grain, hillsides of orchards, where in spring, white clouds of bloom drifted above the green fields. In autumn, oak and maple and birch set up a blaze of color that flamed and flickered across a backdrop of pines. Then foxes barked in the hills and deer silently crossed the fields, half hidden in the mists of the fall mornings. You can tell she's a scientist, right? Pretty good writing there. See, they don't have to exclude each other. You can be an awesome scientist and an awesome writer all at the same time. Or you can be an English teacher and not be as good of a writer as her, you know. All right. Along the roads, laurel, viburnum, and alder, great ferns and wildflowers delighted the traveler's eye through much of the year. Even in winter, the roadsides were places of beauty where countless birds came to feed on the berries and on the seed heads of the dried weeds rising above the snow. The countryside was, in fact, famous for the abundance and variety of its bird life. And when the flood of migrants was pouring through in spring and fall, people traveled from great distances to observe them. Others came to fish the streams. Sounds like Asheville a little bit, right? Or Western North Carolina, the mountains. Fish flowed clear and cold out of the hills and contained shady pools where trout lay. So it had been from the days many years ago when the first settlers raised their houses, sank their wells, and built their barns. Then a strange blight. Now here's tone shift, right? Woof. Then a strange blight crept over the area and everything began to change. Some evil spell had settled on the community. Mysterious maladies, which are illnesses, because mal means bad. Roots, remember our roots. Let me see if I can highlight now. If like it's better, if it's nicer to me. It says that I can go. No, it just doesn't feel. It's not liking me today. I don't know why. It liked me on the other thing, but it's not liking me here. Okay. Anyway, so we'll stop that again. He just won't move onto the page. I don't know what his deal is. Okay, we're stopping that again. All right. So then a strange blight crept over the area. Everything began to change. Some evil spell had settled on the community. Mysterious maladies swept the flocks of chickens. The cattle and sheep sickened and died. Everywhere was a shadow of death. The farmers spoke of much illness among their families. In the town, the doctors had become more and more puzzled by new kinds of sickness appearing among their patients. There had been several sudden and unexplained deaths, not only among adults, but even among children who would be stricken suddenly while at play and die within a few hours. Whew. There was a strange stillness. God, it's going to give you the feels again, right? The birds, for example, where had they gone? Many people spoke of them, puzzled and disturbed. The feeding stations in the backyards were deserted. The few birds seen anywhere were moribund, which is not good. They trembled violently and couldn't fly. That tells us kind of moribund is like, blah, 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 not good. It was spring without voices. What a powerful phrase. Because, spring has so many sounds. And anyway, it was spring without voices. How eerie. On the mornings that had once throbbed with the dawn chorus of robins, catbirds, doves, jays, wrens, and scores of other birds, there was now no sound. Only silence lay over the fields and woods and marsh. On the farms, the hens brooded, but no chicks hatched. The farmers complained that they were unable to raise any pigs. The litters were small and the young survived only a few days. The apple trees were coming into bloom, but no bees droned among the blossoms. You gotta have bees. So there was no pollination, and there would be no fruit. Arm the bees. The roadsides, once so attractive, were now lined with browned and withered vegetation as though swept by fire. These too were silent, deserted by all living things. Even the streams were now lifeless. Anglers, fisher people, no longer visited them, for all the fish had died. In the gutters under the eaves and between the shingles of the roofs, a white granular powder still showed a few patches. Some weeks before, it had fallen like snow upon the roofs and the lawns, the fields and streams. No witchcraft. Phew. No enemy action had silenced the birth of new life in the stricken world. The people had done it to themselves, had done it themselves. All right, this town does not actually exist, but it might easily, this is still her words, it might easily have 1,000 counterparts in America or elsewhere in the world. I know of no community that's experienced all of these misfortunes I describe, yet every one of these disasters has actually happened somewhere. And this was in 1962, guys. And many real communities have already suffered, a substantial number of them. A grim specter is a ghost, has crept upon us almost unnoticed, and this imagined tragedy may easily become a stark reality we all shall know. Isn't that good? Doesn't she write so good? Okay, that was the end of the excerpt. Of course, it's a whole huge book you saw. And then this thing, I might post it. It looks like the French. Rhetorical précis. Yeah, this is very like about rhetorical devices and what is the purpose. And this would be a neat worksheet if we had more time. And we're in class together and we could kind of do a padea over. A seminar would be so cool. Anyway, we're working on it. I just wanted to share this for Earth Day. And give you a journal. I'll put this on my YouTube as well. So I hope you enjoyed. Yay! Aren't you glad Screencastify until the end of May is letting me talk as long as I want on all the videos? Yay! All right, I know you're excited. I know I have to get to work grading, but I'm having so much fun just trying to talk to you guys through this and at least talk to you a little bit like I would if you were with me right now. So I miss you all. Happy Earth Day. Do something to take care of the earth. Do something outside today. All right. Yay. Happy journaling.